Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having an awesome weekend so far. Welcome Fuang. Hi Lydia, Domenico, Angel, Habibe. Nice to see many of our members in the class and ready to learn. Students, this is an IELTS Speaking Part 2 cue card class, the long part, and it's talking about an unhappy situation. I usually like to pick some cheery topics, but interestingly, this cue card is actually very similar to an IELTS exam that just happened. The questions were sent to us by a candidate that had their IELTS exam not so long ago, and they mentioned that they had some similar kinds of questions on their IELTS exam in the last few weeks. So we thought we'd kind of go through it and give you a good idea of how to answer this kind of a cue card, and of course speaking part 3 questions that will be in the next class afterwards likewise. So you will get a chance to learn, understand, and to practice and get feedback. Students, this lesson, these materials, they're brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. Both of those websites are extremely useful to prepare for your IELTS exam. They power these live lessons. They are the websites that we own and use for materials like listening materials, reading materials, for interacting on the speaking. So check them out. We will use them for speaking today. This is the academic IELTS here. We will use this website to interact with students. You can click that big red button to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you just click it once and you're good to go. For the general IELTS, it's the same idea, green background, and again you click that big red button. We are the original IELTS channel on YouTube and one of the oldest IELTS training centers online. We're an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner and IELTS test registration center. You're in great hands with us. I'm a certified British Council agent. So if you have questions, just ask. I will show you my email. It is adrian@aehelp.com and admin@aehelp.com. You can get in touch with me there. So don't be shy. We have apps for you, of course. You can download them, link them. Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Welcome, Alexi. Good to have you. Our chat moderator is also joined. And of course, Instagram. Yes, we have that. You can check out some vocabulary reels, questions and answers for speaking. IELTS_AEHelp, GIELTS Help. Take a look at that. And we have our schedule for the week. So today we have speaking part 2, part 3, and then on Thursday we kick it off with speaking part 1. Then task 2 for members on Friday, listening part 1 and 2 for subscribers, and more speaking on Saturday. We have a new video for you. Exciting. Lots of development. We're always pushing forward. We put out more materials, more quality materials regarding IELTS training than anybody else, probably even British Council and IDP. So you found us. You found a good place for IELTS. All right, this is the video there for you. Check that out when you have a minute. It's a good training video. Simran, welcome to our group of members. That's great. Send me an email so we can hook you up with those exclusive videos. Okay, so students, speaking part 2. Let's do it. Let's get into it. Now this is speaking, so make sure to speak and repeat. So copy what I say, copy how I say it. I am here to help you. I speak with the West Coast North American form of English, we can say. So if you watch Hollywood movies, you will find that a lot of the actors, actresses sound quite similar to myself. They're just down south of me there in Los Angeles. Of course, Vancouver is a big producer of movies. We got Seattle, San Francisco close by. All right, so here we go, everybody. IELTS speaking part 2. Again, like I said, this cue card, everyone, is a cue card that appeared, or I should say a very similar type of cue card. We don't want to just copy the IELTS exactly. They don't like that. But a very similar type of cue card appeared in May, so last month, not that long ago. And a candidate said, hey guys, I sat the IELTS. I had this card that was about talking about an unhappy situation. Can you guys cover this cue card? I mean, I'm not sure about my answer, if it was good or not. What should that sound like? So I thought to myself, hey, sure, why not? We like requests. Let's do it. So there you go. Okay. So here, the cue card is the following, okay? Your first step in the speaking is just to slowly, carefully read the cue card in the 1 minute. So the examiner will say, okay, that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you a card with some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these. Think about your answers. You can take notes in this 1 minute time if you wish, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Is that clear? Yes. Describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. So yeah, dissatisfied, you know, unhappy, upset. Sad. Disappointed. Okay. Those are all kind of similar. So any of those situations where you're just not feeling 10 out of 10. You're lethargic, no. Chayani, lethargic means tired. Discontented, Fuang, is good. Frustrated is good, yes. Disgruntled is good, Anahita, yes. Cheerless, not so much. Cheerless just means you're not necessarily happy, but you're not necessarily sad. Angel says down in the dumps. Yeah. Oh, Angel. Yes, that's a good idiom. Down in the dumps. Sure, we'll put that one in there. Okay. And it's good to do that. So when you see the cue card and you see the key words like dissatisfied, it's really good to think about all these different ways of expressing dissatisfied. So you don't just keep saying, I was dissatisfied. I was very unsatisfied, very dissatisfied. There are so many ways to say it. So use synonyms, right? Okay. All right. Gopu, good. Yeah, that's when you're very upset, right? Is devastated or very sad. Devastated. Sorrowful. Yes, Lydia. Lots of synonyms. Absolutely. Okay. So here we have when it occurred, what transpired, where you were at the time. Also explain the reason behind your unhappiness regarding this incident. Okay, so a good idea is to quickly read the questions twice. It shouldn't take you long. So in that 1 minute preparation time, you can read the questions twice in 10, 15 seconds at most, okay? So when it occurred, what transpired, where were you at the time? Also explain the reasons behind your unhappiness regarding this incident. Okay, you will have 1 minute to prepare your answer and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. All right. Okay. Let's do this. Now, what's your first step, students? So you're in this speaking part 2. You are paying attention. You're taking a sip of water. By the way, when the examiner is telling you that that is the end of part 1, we will now begin part 2, and they're giving you the instructions, it's a good time to have a drink of water. I haven't given you that tip before, but it's a good way to kind of break yourself away from speaking part one, kind of reset your mind, actually get some water in you so your body and your mouth work better, and you're not wasting any time, right? So this is a good tip for you, okay? Definitely bring water with you to the speaking, okay? Don't have any labels or just a clear bottle, but bring one with you. So have a good drink of water while the examiner is giving you instructions for part two. Okay, this will help you reset your thinking a bit. And reset your thinking to focus on part two strategy. Okay, it's a good idea, right? And then you're not distracting yourself while you're actually doing what you need to do. Because when the examiner is telling you the speaking part two instructions, you're kind of just looking at them going, yeah, I know this. Like I practiced for IELTS like 100 times, but you shouldn't be doing that. So have a drink of water, think about, okay, I have to figure out, what this is and so on. All right, like Chayani's saying, Chayani says, identify the topic, the category, and the tenses. Yeah, absolutely. So that's your first step when your 1 minute preparation time starts, right? So 1 minute prep time, right? Step one is identify the category, topic, and tense, okay? And in this case, what is that? So in this cue card, what's the category? Is it a person? Is it a place? Is it an object? Is it an idea? Or is it an event? What is it? Okay, Lydia says it's an event. Absolutely, right? So it's an event. What's the topic? It's a disappointing situation, right? I should bring that up a bit so you can see it. Right, so it is an event, it's a disappointing situation, and it's mostly past tense. Right? And then past and present perfect. So event, disappointing situation, past tense, past progressive, past and present perfect. Okay? All right. So we've got that figured out. Now we can go to step two. Step two is a very important one. What do we do in step two? Okay. All right. Yeah. So Domenico, absolutely. Thinking about when you had to arrive early, that would be a good class to remember here. Yeah. Okay. Next step. Anahita says, come up with a couple of ideas. Yeah, absolutely. So think of 2 to 3 good ideas to respond with. Okay, they should be original, lots of content, and easy to discuss. Okay. All right. Domenico says a delayed flight. Yes, that would be a disappointing situation, right? So that could be connected or related here. Absolutely. So Domenico says, what about a delayed flight? Sure. That could be okay. What else? Okay. Give me some more. Angel says, forget tents, going camping. Okay. Sounds like that actually happened, Angel. Okay, Anonymous says rejected for a visa. Yep, absolutely. Fuang says purchasing a fake pair of shoes. Angel says, yes, it has happened. Oh, Angel, how do you forget the tense? Oh, no. All right, well, hopefully there were nice, warm, sunny days and the tents weren't absolutely necessary. Okay. Alexi says, losing your plane tickets before departure. Yeah, that wouldn't be the end of the world these days, Alexi. With computers, you can just really print them. They're all online. So losing plane tickets before departure. Yeah, losing tickets is a problem of the past in most places now since the internet. Okay. All right, Anahita says, abandoning my country and university. Okay, yeah, leaving home, sure. Yeah. Okay, failed the IELTS exam, sure. Okay, now we'll pick one of these in just a moment. Here's a tip. So this is an interesting one, and I haven't really spoken about this, but it is valuable to mention. So this is just, again, another tip, okay? Avoid discussing emotional topics. So what I mean is, like, IELTS, they try to avoid questions or ideas that trigger emotional situations. Obviously, it's not their goal to have candidates crying in the exam, okay? But it is a speaking exam, and, you know, there are a lot of different people with a lot of different histories and a lot of different backgrounds, so it might not be possible. So it's up to you, mostly, the candidate, to just not go there, right? So avoid discussing emotional topics in your IELTS. Why? Because then we can get very confusing. It will be an awkward situation, and they will still only mark your English. They're not going to give you empathy marks, okay? So avoid discussing emotional topics in your IELTS. This is a bad idea. So it is a bad idea to bring up topics that trigger strong emotions, like the loss of a loved one. Okay, for instance. So I know it's a tricky one, but yeah, definitely avoid that. So, you know, this kind of a cue card, and it's interesting because, you know, you're thinking like, well, wow, that can really happen, and it can, because this was an actual cue card, like I say, in May, or a very similar question was a cue card in May. And as you can imagine, you know, if somebody had their dog die that week, you know, they might be like, well, my dog died last week, right? It's like, well, can we just talk about something a little bit less intense, right? So you have to actively, right? Chan, you have to actively think like, okay, I'm not going to talk about my dog. Obviously, that's a trigger. Let's just put that to the side. I'm just going to talk about failing my high school exam, right? All right. So avoid those highly emotional topics. You don't want to fall to pieces during your IELTS exam, obviously, right? It's like, it's just not the right place for it, okay? So do not fall to pieces during your IELTS exam. So, you know, unfortunately, the world is filled with challenging situations that can be quite extreme at times, and there is a place for that. Okay, all right. Okay, so do not fall into those. All right, let's pick one of these. So delayed flight, forgetting tents going camping, rejected for a student visa, purchasing a fake pair of shoes. I really like this forgetting tents going camping, and it sounds like a real situation that was experienced, and it happened to, who was it? Anahita that it happened? Angel. It happened to Angel, yes. So let's try that one, okay? All right. I think that's a great topic. Why? It's original. Okay, so forget tense. It's original, lots of content, and it's fairly easy to talk about. And it's not overly emotional. Like you're not, hopefully you're not going to start crying about it in the IELTS exam, right? So not too emotional, right? So I think that's great. I think, forgetting an item that you needed in a situation like this is good. Okay, so we've got that now. So Angel, let's work through it. All right, it's good. I like it. Forget tense. All right, so let's do it. What is step 3? So we've got our topic picked out. Now, again, we looked at, 5, 6 different topics. In the real exam students, just 2, 3. Okay, you don't need to think about 5 or 6. 2 or 3, that's okay. All right, so let's do this. Step 3. Take some useful notes. Sure. Okay. All right. So in my useful notes, what should happen? Okay. So what do I need? How do I do useful notes? Okay. What should be the first letter that goes into my notes? Give this to me. Yeah, very good. Time, location, right? So let's, we can, time, location, they're kind of interchangeable, so we can go with time here. Okay, so let's go with time. Okay, so time. All right, go for it. So when did it happen? Give me the time. Now again, useful notes, right? So last month, May, Friday, 7 p.m. Okay, that's what I'm going with here. All right. Okay, location. So, we can, you can come up with yours. I'll come up with mine. We can go a lot of different directions here. I'm going to go Yellowstone National Park. Okay. Yellowstone. Okay. Forest. Okay. Far away. Those are my notes. You're going to see why. So while I'm writing my notes, I'm actually thinking about what I'm going to talk about. So, okay, so I've got my time, I've got my location, and what's next? And everybody who's watching, what we are doing here right now with all of the members, and many of the members know this, is we're going through the logical steps of talking about an event. So the cue card is asking us to talk about a disappointing situation or an unsatisfactory dissatisfactory situation. So we are going through the steps of talking about an event. And when you talk about an event, you talk about time, you talk about location, and constellation. You're right, we talk about attendees, right? So before we really get into the activities and so on, let's add the characters, right? So who were we with, right? Okay, so cousin, Judith, friends, Corey, Dwayne, sure. All right, so we'll go with the attendees. All right, we know who's there. All right, activities. What were we planning to do? Okay, let's say 4 nights. Hiking. Fishing, games, campfire. Okay, sure. Okay. Experience. That's the next one, right? So what was the experience? Well, obviously you're disappointed, so don't write the word that you're disappointed. Maybe you lost time, okay, because you had to go search for a tent or build a tent, right? Okay. Maybe you felt cold because you didn't have a tent to sleep in, okay? And then maybe at the end of it, when you figured out the solution, it was fun and it was educational. Okay? So those are the words that come to mind for me. Okay? Don't write words that you might know, Angel, like displeased. You might write down one or two of them, Angel, like displeased. Lydia, I don't think the tent will save you from a bear attack, but sure. Okay, bear attack. All right. Okay, so the next step. Step 4. What do we do? Okay. In step 4, we want to come up with the first sentence. Yes, think about your first sentence. So let's do that, everybody. Think about your first sentence. Okay. Domenico, you still there? We've lost Domenico. All right. So think about your first sentence. Yeah. How can you start this? Okay. A recent event. You can even use the word event to remind you you're talking about an event. A recent event where I felt quite disappointed initially happened just last May when my friends and I went camping and we forgot our tents. Okay. So that is my first sentence. Now look, students, while you're thinking about your first sentence, so again, remember we had time, location, attendees, so people, right? Activities, and we had experience. As long as you include this information and you look at the cue card, you're going to be okay. You'll notice something interesting. Sheesh, cue card. Okay. So you'll notice something interesting. Notice how in the cue card, in this part 2 cue card, it says, describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. And then it says when it occurred. I mean, simply put, it's the time, right? What transpired is the experience, right? Where were you at the time? That's the location. And explain the reason behind your unhappiness. So here, again, it's the experience and activities. Okay. And of course, you need the people, right? So you need to include who was there, right? The actors, actresses, right? Okay, so let's see. Habibe says, this May I went camping with my cousin on a Friday and we forgot our tents. Okay, Habibi, let's just correct that a little bit, but it's a good looking first sentence. So this is Habibi's first sentence. Okay. This May, make sure you capitalize that, otherwise it's a different word. I went to camp with my cousin on a Friday. And we forgot our tense, which clearly made us quite upset. Okay, so include the cue card. Okay, right? See how I said I felt quite disappointed. Okay, it's very important to reflect the topic sentence in your first sentence. Students, keep this in mind. Okay, it is very important to reflect the topic question in your first sentence. In this case, it's a time you felt dissatisfied. Okay? Is that clear, everybody? It's a very important tip. All right? That's a very it's a crucial step to show the examiner that you're focused on the cue card and you're about to talk on this topic, exactly on the cue card topic. Is that clear, everybody? Fuang Domenico says yes. Okay, so it's very important that you do that. Okay, Habibe, is that clear? You didn't have that in your first sentence. So you can't, your speaking has to be direct. It can't be indirect. It can't be like, well, I'm sure you can imagine that we were, disappointed. No. You have to be like, we were disappointed, right? So super straightforward, okay? All right. Gopu says, the scenario I felt very disappointed was a speaking interview which happened a year ago in the month of May. All right, Gopu, it's, you can practice that for the volunteering, but right now let's stay on the same idea, okay? Chayani. So, Gopu, that's a different topic, okay? Chayani says, an unhappy moment that I have not ever, Chani, just experienced, that I have experienced is university rejection. That happened a year ago on May 26th, 2022. Chayani, okay, well, I guess you're preparing also for the volunteering session. All right. This is Domenico. Domenico's first sentence regarding a flight. When jogging my memory to recall a situation, Domenico, it's forced. It's unnatural English, okay? You would simply just say, I recall a situation. I recall a situation that left me feeling dissatisfied. And then this is all repeat, so we take that out. A delayed flight that caused me to miss my connecting flight, which occurred back in 2013. Okay, right? Domenico, simplify. Yeah, it's way too complicated. Okay. All right. Anahita. Everybody's on their own tangent today. Okay. Anahita says, an unfortunate incident that made me feel dissatisfied occurred on a Wednesday of May 2018 due to lack of security in Afghanistan, which resulted to my immigration to Tajikistan. Okay. All right. And here's Fuang. Fuang's like, okay, I'm going to stay on topic here. Good, Fuang. So Fuang says, I can vividly remember an event that made me feel discontented back in May 2022 when we forgot our tents while camping on Yellowstone Forest. While camping in, you camp in a forest. In Yellowstone Forest, yeah, and this would actually be a capital F in this case. Okay, good. So when we instead of we, when my friends and I. So you have to introduce who that we is. Is it your family? Is it your friends? Your relatives? Your university class? So who are we talking about, Fuang? Okay. Don't use pronouns without introducing at least the subjective noun, like friends or family first. Okay. All right. Constellation is on mark. Lydia is on mark as well. Good. So here we go. Lydia says, I distinctly remember the event that made me feel sorrowful last year of June 1st during the summer season when 2 tourists and 4 of my university colleagues went camping and forgot, not missed. I think British people might use the word missed as a synonym for forgot, but us Canadians and Americans, we sure don't. It's awkward for us. So, and forgot our tents. Okay. If there's a Briton out there, they might say, yes, we do. Or they might say, no, we don't. Okay. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I think I've heard it used that way, Lydia, but I'd have to check. All right. I wouldn't dock you marks. By the way, if the examiner is unsure, if they think they might have heard that in a, different form of English, like Australian or New Zealand, they might just be like, yeah, whatever, it's not a big mistake, but you should be careful. Okay. All right. Good. Now we write, or I should say we speak, right? So here are my notes. Yellowstone Forest, far away. It was Friday, 7 p.m., right? So all of these notes have logic, okay? Why do you think I wrote 7 p.m.? So these kinds of situations and these numbers, they act as information triggers, okay? So notes should act as information triggers to create good content. What do I mean by that? Okay. So I want to give you this tip here because here my time, so when it happened, Friday, 7 p.m. Okay. There's a reason why I wrote Friday, 7 p.m. Even though I'm just imagining and making up this answer, my brain is calculating here. Exactly, Fuang. Very good. You're reading my mind. So it's the evening. It's hard to buy new tents. It's getting dark. So it's difficult. Okay. All right. So watch the information trigger here. Okay. So here's my first sentence. A recent event where I felt quite disappointed initially happened just last May when my friends and I went camping and we forgot our tents. It was on a Friday night and it was 7 p.m. when we realized that we had left our tents at home. This was particularly troublesome because it was too late to drive back to the nearest city to purchase tents, purchase or rent tents. And it was starting to get dark and cold. So all of this information, it was on a Friday night and it was 7 p.m. when we realized that we had left our tents at home. This was particularly troublesome because it was too late to drive back to the nearest city to purchase or rent tents and it was starting to get dark and cold. So all of this information is triggered by this piece in the notes. Okay. Does that make sense, everybody? So when you're taking notes, think about content that will help to trigger ideas to let your communication flow. Okay, does that make sense? Chayani says yes. Fuang says got it. Okay, all right. Mal, numbers are considered the universal, so not international, we call it the universal language. Here, I'm not really referring to numbers as the universal language, although that is true, Mal. But I'm referring to, it can be numbers, it can be other information that triggers more information, okay, that encourages more motivation, like 7 p.m. on a Friday, okay? If I get to the campground at 8 a.m. on a Wednesday and I realize I forgot my tents, well, I mean, I feel quite upset, but at the end of the day, I just hop back in my car, drive to the nearest city, and then lose a couple hours, buy a couple of tents, and drive back, right? While my friends set up the campfire and start preparing a meal. So it's not that bad, right? So here I'm creating this negative situation, okay? Makes sense, right? Okay, so this was our annual 4-day, 3-night camping trip in Yellowstone National Park. With my cousin Judith and my 2 good friends, Corey and Dwayne. All right. Now, you want to visualize here. Okay. So when you visualize the situation, so you arrive to this campground and visualization is very important, especially with an event, okay? So you arrive to this campground, right? We're learning to be storytellers because that's really what you are in part 2. You're a storyteller in English, okay? So you have to visualize, okay? So you arrive, it's Friday at 7 p.m., okay? Use your imagination. And suddenly, you know, you're talking to your friend, I'm talking to Angel, and I'm like, hey, can you take out the tent? Let's set up the tents. And then Angel's like, I can't find them. And then Angel's like, hey, Fuang, where did you put the tents? And then Fuang's looking around, and Fuang's like, Angel, I don't know. I think Adrian packed them. Adrian, where's the tents? I'm like, no, I don't know, Fuang. You packed them, right? They were sitting there when we left the house at the side of the garage. So where are the tents, right? And then we're like suddenly realizing that the tents aren't there. Okay, so what happens? What are some of the kind of natural, you know, situations that happen here for people? Okay, everybody starts to get a bit frustrated. We start to get a bit upset. What do we do? So what are some common situations that happen here? Okay, so Angel, yeah, first we're in a bit of a shock, right? We're upset. We get angry. What do we do? Angel, what do we do, Lydia? Domenico. Fuang, what do we do? We start pointing fingers, right? What does that mean? It's a very human characteristic. Although I think, you know, as society evolves, we're less like this. Yeah, constellation, absolutely. We get into an argument, right? So there's a natural progression, right? Fuang says we start crying. Angel, yeah, we say it's your fault. We start blaming each other. Very good, right? All right. Initially, I already used that word, so I'm not going to use it again, okay? When we first realized that we had left our tents at home, we started blaming each other and pointing fingers at one another about who is responsible for packing the tents. Of course, this made us argue and get into a useless conflict. Okay? All right, so we start to blame each other. We start to argue. We start to put fault on each other. After a minute or two, we calm down. And what? What did we do? So after you calm down, what do? Okay? And here, again, I want you to follow with me. Believe it or not, in that 1 minute preparation time, I've completely built this story in my head. I've already come up with like 4 or 5 solutions here. So yeah, you calm down and you find a solution. It's our human nature, right? This is common to all of us, whether you're in Vietnam, Indonesia, in Canada, in Sicily. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in Romania, right, Romelia? We all eventually calm down and say, hey, okay, we just have to move forward and come up with a solution. After about a minute or two, we calmed down and started to discuss solutions. Okay? You work together, right? You can't stay upset forever. Doesn't work. The sooner you calm down, the better it is. Okay? So, what would be the solution here? Okay? There's a few solutions. I thought of a few, for sure. Yeah, Angel. I love how Angel's in capital letters. I got it. Stay in the car, right? It's not going to be the most comfortable sleep, but we can all survive. Mal says, go back home. No, Mal, come on. Go back home. No, don't go back home in the middle of the night. Romelia, book a cheap accommodation. You can't rent a tent. We talked about it. It's Friday. Everything is closed, right? Constellation, find a cave. There's an idiom that comes to mind, Constellation. From the frying pan into the fire. I'm going to just, I mean, it's the weekend. We have to have a bit of fun with this, right? So Constellation says, find a cave. What comes to mind if you go find a cave in Yellowstone Park is this idiom. The idiom is from the frying pan into the fire. Does everybody know what that idiom means? From the frying pan into the fire. Good thinking though, Constellation. I mean, I appreciate your quick thinking here. So, anybody know what this idiom means? From the frying pan into the fire. Exactly, Lydia. From bad to worse, right? From bad to worse, right? Why am I saying that? Because maybe that cave already has some renters, like a bear or wolves. So it could be a wolf cave, a bear cave, right? So I wouldn't recommend looking for a cave in the middle of the night in Yellowstone Park. Definitely a lot of animals there. Okay, so from the frying pan into the fire. And somebody said that bear attack. I think it was Chayani, was it? That said, we were attacked by bears. We forgot our tent, and then we went looking for a cave, and then we were attacked by bears. Okay, so after a minute or two, we calmed down and started to discuss solutions. We decided that we would spend the night in the car, and one of us would drive back to town the next day to rent or buy a tent. It wasn't ideal since the car was quite uncomfortable. But we made do. Okay. Even though we were quite disgruntled disgruntled by this situation. We made the best of it. And in the end, we still had lots of fun cooking, making a campfire, going on a hike, and some good laughs. Okay. So, yeah, and then, of course, the other option for those of you who are savvy that I thought about, and it's possible, is you could just make shelter, right? So if you know what you're doing in the forest, you can make shelter. If you didn't forget your axe, hopefully not, then or a cutting tool, then you can make yourself some shelter. Okay? So, okay, good. Here's an answer. I'm going to go through it with you, and then we'll give you a chance to talk about disappointing or dissatisfactory situation that happened to you and that you can come up with. Okay? All right. So here we go. Let's just review the cue card and make sure that we didn't miss any points. I don't think we did, but you should always check. Okay? So describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. When it occurred, what transpired, where you were at the time, and explain the reason behind your unhappiness. Okay, regarding this incident. So, a recent event where I felt quite disappointed initially happened just last May when my friends and I went camping and we forgot our tents. It was on a Friday night and it was 7 p.m. when we realized we had left our tents at home. This was particularly troublesome because it was too late to drive back to the nearest city to purchase or rent tents, and it was starting to get dark and cold. This was our annual 4-day, 3-night camping trip in Yellowstone National Park with my cousin Judith and my 2 good friends, Corey and Dwayne. When we first realized that we had left our tents at home, we started blaming each other and pointing fingers at one another about who is responsible for packing the tents. Of course, this made us argue and get into a useless conflict. After a minute or two of shouting, we calmed down and started to discuss solutions. We decided that we would spend the night in the car and one of us would drive back to town the next day to rent or buy a tent. It wasn't ideal since the car was quite uncomfortable, but we made do. We made do is an expression that means we fixed the situation. Even though we were quite disgruntled by this situation, we made the best of it, and in the end we still had lots of fun cooking, making a campfire, going on a hike, and some good laughs. Okay, and here, if I really want to conclude on the topic, I could say, nevertheless, it was disappointing and shocking to discover that the tents were left back home. Okay? And now the examiner knows that I'm done. I've concluded my response, my 1 to 2 minute response. Okay? All right, so that would be a good way to do it. So a couple of the key tips here, right? So many of you know that, okay, it's an event. You have to talk about time, location, attendees. You have to talk about the activities, the experience. And a couple of the key tips here are, 1, have a sip of water while you get the instructions for part 2 from the examiner. 2, take notes that trigger ideas, like late on a Friday night, right? And then 3, of course, is to visualize. So see yourself on this camping trip. Be in the situation and notice those human characteristics of getting into arguments when there's trouble. Okay. Mal says, I think it's illegal to cut trees. I didn't say cut trees, Mal. You can just cut some branches. Don't cut down the whole tree. Okay. And I'm pretty sure if it's a life or death situation, they're going to maybe allow you to take down a few branches to build yourself some shelter. Okay, members, viewers, let's do this. So let's practice a little bit of this. Go to aehelp.com. Alexi, if you're still here, could you put the instructions into the chat? The first step here, everybody, members, you know this, is to go to the website. We're going to listen to some part 2 responses for this cue card from some of our members and premium members. So let's do this. Alexi, thank you. There's the instructions from Alexi on how to do this. Okay, so we go to the website, boom, and we can join the website with the big red button there. It's a one-time payment, and you get all the goodies that the website has to offer. You go to your My Student account. In your My Student account, you have your computer-based practice exams, a full interactive course, downloadable PDF exam, books, lots and lots of videos, over 100 HD videos, audio CDs for all the listening and other sections. And then you even have additional services for statement of purpose, writing an academic CV, general editing services. You have task 1, task 2, and you have student partner speaking and speaking interview practice. And behind me, you can even book or register for an at-home IELTS exam. If you see that red button, you can take IELTS at home. It's a new system. If you don't see it, it's not available yet in your country. But right now, anyway, students, so lots there on the website. Okay. Oh, and you can even download the app and link it to the website with the QR code. So lots there. Okay, student partner speaking. Arun, premium student at the top. Good to see you, premium students. Go ahead and volunteer. Members, go ahead and volunteer. Thu is volunteering. That's good. I'll keep you in mind. Gopu is volunteering. That's great. How do you volunteer? Well, you see the blue envelope. You'll see my handle. My handle will be master. Okay, you're going to see it as master like this. So click on the blue envelope beside my handle and say, I want to try, I want to volunteer. I want to give this a shot. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's start with the bottom of the list. Anahita there at the bottom. Hi, Anahita. Are you ready? Anahita is ready. Okay, cool.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Anahita. How are you?
I'm good. How about you, sir?
I am doing quite well. Thank you for asking. All right, Anahita, are you ready to talk about a disappointing situation?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of like, yes, I am, I think. We don't really like talking about disappointing situations. It's interesting that IELTS asked this cue card question, but, you know, they surprise people, right? I think that's why this student this candidate sent this cue card, because I think they were quite surprised that IELTS asked this kind of question on the exam, right?
But the topic I want to talk about, I wish it had never happened, and I hope this will never happen in the future as well.
Yeah, and again, just a word of caution: be careful about topics that are emotionally charged, because they can be very difficult to talk about even in our own language, right? So you have to be very careful with those choices. I will let you do you, okay? So I'm going to start you off. Are you ready?
Mine was a little bit political and emotional. Is it okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So political topics are okay. So, you know, students sometimes ask me, is it okay to talk about a political topic? I don't know people's countries. So if in your country it's not okay to do it, whatever. But if you're in Canada, and I know, Anahita, that you're in Canada now, right? Yes. We are a very free country in this way. So people are allowed to express themselves freely. So here it's not a problem. So the IELTS doesn't say like you can't talk about politics. In fact, a lot of questions on IELTS can sometimes deal with government, like task 2 writing questions too. So All right, Anahita, I will start you off and you give me your answer. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so let's start with part 2. Describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
An unfortunate situation that made me feel dissatisfied happened on a Wednesday, May 2018, because of lack of security in my country, Afghanistan, which resulted to my departure to another country, Tajikistan, and the people who were disgruntled from this situation was not only me, but a lot of my other compatriots, and everyone was fed up with the explosions, suicide attacks, and kidnappings. And because this scenario exaggerate was exacerbating, everyone wanted to flee the country and go to another country because there were some savage people who wanted to cripple people's intellect and darken youngsters' minds for their own benefit. And I think and I think if I think the only way for me to get rid of the situation was to abandon the country, and I had a very good life in my country. I was studying in the greatest University of Kabul, but unfortunately I had to abandon all of them. I had to leave all of them in order to survive.
Okay.
And in order
Your
to
1 minute or your time is up. I will stop you there. And I will take back the questions. Please put the note paper to the side, turn it over, your pencil as well, and we will now continue with part 3. Okay, Anahita, good. So obviously lots of information there. This is a topic that, again, so it really happened to you. It's extremely dissatisfying. It's a very challenging topic. In one way, like, you know, you're in Canada and you're doing your IELTS in Canada. I think this topic could be a good choice for you. You just have to really control your emotions and your information. So why is this topic a good topic, or why is it a good choice? Well, it's a good choice because it's a familiar topic. So this was world news, okay? A lot of countries and a lot of people heard about this. So I heard about it myself. I heard that in Afghanistan, after the US military and the European military withdrew, they took their kind of forces back. There was a big change in society and government. It led to a lot of oppression, especially of women, a lot of conflict. And it made big news. So people in Europe, people in Asia, people in North America, South America, we heard about it. So we heard about this situation. So it's familiar. Familiar topics are good because they're easier to understand, because the listener often has knowledge about it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in this sense, it's a good topic. It's a good choice for a topic. However, it's up to you to control your emotions and to control the information. Okay, I think you did a good job of the former. So I could tell that you were able to control your emotions. You've worked this through your system and you can talk about it. The second, the latter, I think you were having a little bit trouble with. I think you had a lot of information. You wanted to tell me all about it, but you only have 1 to 2 minutes. It's still the IELTS exam. So, in real life, if we sat down as friends, Anahita, and had a cup of coffee, we could probably spend a whole day just talking about this situation, and I would have lots of questions for you, and I'm sure you could tell me lots of really interesting experiences that happened. But you can't do that on the IELTS. On the IELTS, you have to just really focus your ideas and your sentences. Are you following me?
Yes.
Okay, so you started well. You said, an unfortunate situation that made me feel dissatisfied happened in May 2022 when I left my country because of lack of security. Okay, That's the reason to have that first sentence, is so that you have that really strong start, and you had a really strong start. Okay. And you said it happened with not only me, but also my compatriots, and we had to leave because, and then you said there was a new regime or a new government which had some very negative ways to control and manage society. Now, this is where you want to control yourself. Okay, so this is where you want to just focus on you. So this is your disappointing situation. So here you want to use sentences like, this was very shocking for me because it was very sudden. Okay, so just repeat after me. This was very shocking for me because it was very sudden.
This was very shocking for me because it was very sudden.
1 week, I'm attending my university classes. I'm feeling happy and ambitious.
1 week I am attending university classes and I am feeling happy and ambitious.
And the next week, my parents are telling me I have to flee the country.
And the next week my parents are telling me I have to flee the country.
Clearly, this was a very disgruntling situation.
Clearly, this was a very discrumbling situation.
I had to pack up my belongings in a suitcase and cross to the country of Tajikistan.
Tajikistan, yeah. I had to pack up
My belongings.
I had to pack up my belongings and
leave the country with one suitcase.
And leave the country with one suitcase.
To Tajikistan.
To Tajikistan.
Okay. I felt very lonely and unhappy.
I felt very lonely and unhappy.
Okay, so notice how I'm just targeting that cue card of feeling unhappy and myself, right? I mean, you don't have to, because you started to go off in how it affected people, how it affected the country, but the cue card is really about you, right? And you already introduced the situation, so I know about it. So you have to really control that information, that it's about you and it's about how you were unhappy and how it created this big problem in your life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So like I say, I think it's a good pick. As long as you control the emotions and the information, I think it's a good way to get a higher band score. Absolutely.
Okay, sir, do you think I have improved since the last interview?
I do think you're improving. What I noticed just now as we're speaking is you are becoming more fluent. So you're not forcing your language as much. The words are starting to roll from your mouth a little bit smoother, which is great. Okay, so keep talking.
Okay, sir.
All right, Anahita, keep it up. By the way, that would be about a band 6 for sure. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, bye, Anahita.
Bye, sir.
All right, that was good. Give Anahita a thumbs up. All right. Okay, everybody, let's try somebody else here. So let's give Fuang a chance because hopefully her internet's fixed. And she didn't get a chance yesterday because of internet issues. So Fuang, are you ready? Let's hope that we have a good connection here. Fuang.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Fuang. I can hear you loud and clear now. That's great.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, because yesterday my laptop had some problem and it didn't allow me to my microphone.
Yes, there's just so many pieces to this, right? But it sounds like you fixed your laptop.
Yes, sir. I fixed it in this morning.
Awesome. Okay, Fuang, let's do this. So, an unhappy situation for you in Vietnam. Here we go. Let me start you off. Are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay, so let's start with part 2. Describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. Your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
I can vividly remember an event that made me feel discontented back in July of 2018 when I was in the ninth grade. Although I spent a moderately good amount of time on my study and expected to pass the first semester with flying color, it all went wrong due to unexpectedly bad results with chemistry, my all-time favorite subject. I could say I was very delighted with my academic performances in chemistry and already got 9 out of 10 every time. Every show that turned me into a subjective feeling, and I spent more time focusing on other lessons like geography. On the other days the same occurred, my confused memory life again, as I wasn't able to write down either the fermentation process or some chemical properties of elements. Everything was out of my control, and it was so hard to believe that I scored so poorly at 4 out of 10. The feeling of tension, regret, and unhappiness make me disappointed about these incidents, and neither I could repair my mistake nor my secondary education got increased. Instead of blaming me or my fellow, my father went straight to his room as I could see the sadness in his eye. On a closing note, after this unpleasant situation, I always remind myself to be more dedicated with my study so that I don't have to cope with a similar case down the road.
Okay, that was great, Fuang. Very good. That was about 2 minutes. Yeah, just under. I was looking at the time there. I have a feeling this never happened. Did this actually happen?
Yes, it's actually happened, sir.
It did, really. You surprised me. I would have bet that you just made that up. You just seem too dedicated to your studies for that to happen. So you kind of failed that chemistry exam.
Yes, sir. And my academic performance in secondary school make me so disappointed.
Oh no! And they didn't let you retake the exam.
No, but I try my spend more efforts on the other exam, the final exam, sir.
Okay, all right. Chemistry. Yeah, chemistry can be tricky, right? Okay, well, first of all, that was fantastic. That was some really good speaking. Keep working on pronunciation, keep working on intonation. Overall, though, really good. I liked how you're improving your pacing. You're really pacing yourself well to allow for better coherence. Okay? And you're using some really great vocabulary, so you can vividly remember an event that made you feel discontented, and you're using some good expressions. You said you expected to pass your exam with flying colors, but it all went horribly wrong. I liked it. That was really good. So what you want to do, Fuang, is again, when you're doing this kind of a practice, record yourself, right? So record yourself on your laptop, record yourself on your phone, listen back, and then repeat, okay? And focus on that intonation, focus on that pronunciation. You're really improving. I think that if we were sitting in the same room and we didn't have this super loud traffic that you have there, you'd probably get like a good 7.5 to 8 for that kind of a response, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, good job. And don't worry about chemistry. You're not planning to be a chemist, are you?
No, my dreams is to become a businesswoman, sir.
All right. Well, as long as you don't work for a big pharmaceutical company. No, I'm just kidding. Then you don't have to worry about chemistry. Okay. All right. Thank you, Fuang, for sharing. And good studies. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. See you next class.
Bye. All right. That was Fuang. Let's give her a thumbs up. And we all have that one area of school. For me, it was math. Ugh. I still remember having to redo grade 11 math. Ugh, it haunts me in my dreams. All right. Okay. Let's take somebody else here. Let's do Sam here at the bottom, kind of shifting around. Sam, are you ready? One of our premium students. And I believe Sam is also maybe a member as well. So Sam, if you're there, let me know. Hi, Sam.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Sam, is this the first time that we're talking?
Yes, sir. It's great players for me because I was trying a lot. I watching your video since you just start your live section like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow, that's
Yes, sir.
crazy.
I'm a big fan. Actually, I
Oh,
was starting my English just following you and all of your course, like watching all your video. I'm a big thanks
I'm
and
flattered,
thank you so
Sam.
much for yeah, many of my students but like my class fellow are also watching your video. Basically, I'm from Pakistan,
Okay.
so sometime my restriction here in order to talk with you. So this time is the first time I will talk with you, and that's so amazing.
Awesome. Sam, it's great to have you from Pakistan. And are you going to do the IELTS exam or have you done it already?
So yes, sir, I was done my IELTS exam twice a time, but
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I did not get my desired score like 7.5 or even though 7.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
last score was 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just planning to, increase my score.
Got you. All right. And what are you studying or what will you study in university?
Yes, sir. I just recently graduated from from Pakistan in computer science,
Mm-hmm.
and also I'm planning to go Canada for doing a master's degree in cybersecurity there.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, we can always use more cybersecurity. The internet is like the Wild West, and there's
Yes, sir.
definitely a lot of problems on the internet. So we need
No
cybersecurity.
problem.
Okay. All right, Sam. Well, let me get to my cue card here. Well, first time meeting.
Okay.
I wish I had a happier cue card for you today, but anyway, it is what it is, Sam. So let's do this. I'll start you off. Give me a nice full answer, and then I'll give you some feedback. So, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Events when I was so unhappy, like last year when I was prepared my IELTS exam, it was a it was unhappy because I could not able to get my s- like got my desired score was like 7.4 even though 7. um in that scenario I was trying a lot because I belong to those country which are not able to speak especially in English language. So I'm just trying to cope all the problem and try work day by day and night to overcome these situations. But unfortunately I did not able to get my desired score. So that situation is very uncritical, you can say, for me. And because I spend a lot of time not only preparing myself for IELTS exam but also sacrifice a lot of things, like I stay in a hostel and spend hundreds or even though thousands of rupees.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Oh yes, I'm here. The examiner will
Oh,
be
just
quiet. The examiner will not talk while you're talking. The only time they will talk is when they stop
okay.
you.
I'm just
So they
getting
will.
my maybe
Yeah, I am here.
connect or connection.
No, your connection's okay. I can absolutely hear you fine. Rupees. Okay. All right, Sam. Not bad. Yeah. So, yeah, a 6.5 is a fair score. So you're fluent, and you're kind of between fluent and good. You need to. So with this part two, the reason I can't give you a 7 is because you're repeating the information too much. Okay?
Okay.
So you told me that an event when you were so unhappy was last year when you prepared for your IELTS exam because you could not get your desired score of a 7. And then you repeated that information 2 or 3 times before you gave me new information about, spending or making lots of sacrifices, like spending lots of money, staying in a hostel to do the exam. So what you need to do, right, is use your notes, and remember that when you're talking about an event, Sam, you have to talk about time, location, people. So for instance, in this case, Sam, what you want to do is you want to say, at this time, my parents were helping me. They lent me some money to go to the exam center and to pay for the exam. Also, I wanted to tell my friends and family about my success, but I wasn't able to. So you notice how I'm concentrating on the other people that were in the exam as well. And
Yes, sir.
include lots of reasons. Like here, you told me that you wanted to get a band score of 7, but you didn't tell me why, right? So I need this score to apply for my master's degree for universities in Canada. Because I couldn't get the score, this made me delay my application for the next year. So more details, okay? More details. Try to not repeat. When you're about to repeat yourself, stop and think, okay, how can I give more details instead of repeating myself? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, so practice that, Sam. Before your next IELTS exam, definitely practice not repeating yourself, but giving more details. And I do think that you can get to that band 7 quite quickly because you are fluent and you do have fairly good grammar and you definitely have good vocabulary. Okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Sam, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and come back again. When I see you, I'll definitely get you answering a couple of questions, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome.
Great.
It was great to hear from you, Sam. Have an awesome rest of your weekend.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye, Sam.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
All right, that was Sam. That was great. What a good guy. All right, let's see. How are we doing? I think we have time for one more here. Who is, let's me just, who have we not heard from here in a while? Yeah, let's give Ahmed, I believe this is maybe the second time Ahmed is volunteering, so let's give Ahmed Mansour a chance. And those students who are volunteering, remember we've got speaking part 3 and I've got my eye on you, so I remember people who volunteer in part 2 and don't get a chance. So Ahmed, are you ready? If you're still there with us. Yes, Ahmed is here. Good.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Ahmed. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What about you?
I am doing quite good as well. Ahmed, this is the second time that we're talking, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
No, I have talked with you before. I think this is my fourth time.
Fourth time. All right, but I remembered that it wasn't the first time.
No, sir. I talked with you, but it was a long time ago, and then I back.
Good.
It was on reading section.
Good. Yeah, never give up. That's right, Ahmed. That's the right attitude. Awesome. Ahmed, well, now it's the speaking, and it's the long part. It's the cue card. Are you ready?
Actually, sir, I'm a little nervous. I'm a nervous, and
That's
this is
okay.
my first time. I go to speaking section.
That is okay.
I don't know if I can give you a full answer.
Just do your best. The trick, Ahmed, is slow and steady. So don't worry about getting stuck. If you get stuck, don't focus on that I'm stuck. Don't be like, oh, I'm stuck. Don't focus on that. Focus on seeing the situation and then, talk about it. So if it's the situation we discussed, like, forgetting your tent at home when you're going camping, then focus on what happens next. I got into an argument with my friends, but then we decided to sleep in the car. It was very cold. I felt very uncomfortable. So keep focusing on the next idea, on the next idea, on the next idea. Always just look forward. Okay, that's the trick. All right.
Okay, sir.
All right. Ahmed, here we go. Describe a situation that made you feel dissatisfied. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
The most painful situation I remember is when I was in my second year in the Faculty of Arabic Language in Al Azhar University. When I went to assistant teacher, I asking for his help to do a research, but he refused to help me and he looked to me hatefully and he fired me from the department. I remember I cried a lot when this happened, and I was shocking and disappointed because I don't know what I did to him or what happened. But I went to another a professor and I told him about my problem, and he helped me. But I will never forget this situation because uh, it was hurtful for me, and I feel that it took a part of my heart. Uh,
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there.
okay, so, um,
Just a sec. I'm gonna get down
I'm
the last of it.
I'm sorry,
That was really good.
sir.
No. Ahmed,
This,
don't apologize. Never apologize for language. In fact, you shouldn't apologize at all because that was quite good. Okay.
no, I'm sorry. This situation is really happening with me, and I'm sorry if.
No. It's good. It's good. Okay, I can tell it's quite an emotional situation. So, like I said at the start of class, right, careful with those emotional situations. But Ahmed, your speaking is very good. So, first of all, you have good grammar, and you had a lot of good ideas. So there was no repetition there. You told a story from start to finish. Okay. There were a couple of missing pieces in the story where your listeners, so in my position, I was thinking like, oh, why? But overall, it answered the card quite well. Okay. So you said the most painful situation that I remember is when I was in my second year of my Arabic language class in university. What year was that? 2018?
No, at 20, I don't. I graduated 2019, so it will be 20.
17? Doesn't have to be specific, right? Like let's say 27.
2016. I think it was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You used some nice complex language as well. So you said, when I went to the assistant teacher, I asked for his help to do research. He refused to help me and looked at me hatefully and fired me from the department. Okay. And you said, I remember I cried a lot when this happened. So you were very disappointed. Here is where I felt like you had a bit of missing information. Okay, so you had this very bad experience with this assistant teacher, and you got kicked out of the department. Why was this terrible for you?
I do. Because he refused to help me and screaming to me. I don't know why, what I did to him.
Yeah. So just the emotions obviously were terrible, but at the end of the day, I'm sure you felt very disappointed because it had a very negative effect on your university studies, on your program, right?
Yes, I cried a lot after that, and I asked myself why, what I did.
Yeah. Okay. So I was shocked and disappointed because I didn't know what I did to him or what happened, and I felt I didn't deserve to be treated this way. Can you repeat after me? I felt that I didn't deserve to be treated this way.
I felt that I didn't deserve to be treated this way.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you. You have to remember, sometimes people just have bad days. It probably had nothing to do with you. Maybe he took his anger. He couldn't control his emotions, and he took his anger out on you. That was completely caused by some other event in his life, right? So, all right. I went to another and then, so what I liked in your story too, Ahmed, is that you did exactly what I did in my response, where you then switched to the solution. So you said, I went to another professor, I told him about my problem. Okay, your response is easily a band 6.5-ish. Okay, so you're between a fluent and good user. You're not speaking quickly. So you're speaking at a slower speed, but you're speaking continuously and you're speaking accurately, which is really good. So what you want to do, Ahmed, is keep practicing exactly what you're doing, and step by step focus on increasing your speed. So each time you respond, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster, okay? But make sure to stay as accurate and to keep the information just as good, because then when you increase your speed by about 10-20%, you will get a band 7.58, no problem, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Ahmed, thank you so much for volunteering and sharing that sorrowful story. I'm sorry that happened to you. It happens to most of us, if not all of us, Ahmed, at some point, where somebody has a bad day and we become the target of their anger. So, yeah, you just have to kind of turn yourself off and walk away when that happens, Ahmed. All right. Ahmed, well, I hope you have a much more pleasant weekend and a much better day, okay?
Okay, sir, and I'm sorry, this is the only situation I remember right now.
It works. I mean, it sounds like it was years ago. It sounds like you stepped past it. So, you know, it works. And I thought it was an okay response for sure. Yeah, it was a good job, Ahmed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, have a great rest of the weekend. Bye, Ahmed.
Bye, sir. Bye. Thank you.
All right, Ahmed. Oh, painful. By the way, Ahmed, that last expression, I felt it. It was good. Ahmed says, I will never forget this situation because it was hurtful for me, and it felt, and I feel it took a part of my heart. You almost made me cry, Ahmed. That was a good expression, by the way, in English. Not a happy expression, but a good expression. And I feel it took a part of my heart. Yeah. Happens. All right, students, again, this is for you to practice with each other as well. It's not just to interact with Adrian. So make sure that you contact each other, okay, the same way that you contact me. Practice your English. Find your speaking partner. Use it for IELTS. Don't share personal information, okay? And make sure, for those of you who haven't done so yet, to sign up for the premium version of the course. You can do it with all these big red buttons, right? So click those, get access to all the materials, start learning. We'll be using the website again in the next class for speaking part 3 to interact with students, okay? General IELTS, gieltshelp.com, the green background, everyone. All right. Thank you for volunteering, everybody, and thank you for sharing your sad stories with me today. Like I say, I try to pick happy topics, but this was a topic that was requested because it was similar to a topic that was asked in the actual IELTS in May. So you're very welcome. Have a lovely rest of the day, or have a lovely break. Hopefully you come back in 30 minutes and join me for speaking part 3. Until then, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. Students, I'm Adrian. I'm signing out, and I'm back in half an hour to go through the follow-up questions, speaking part 3. Bye for now.